Hello everyone and welcome back to exercise number 30 of the SolidWorks Basic Tutorial Series. In this video, we're going to be designing a Flange Hub. As always, in implementing this part within SolidWorks, we're going to be using many of the SolidWorks features, namely Extrude Boss Base feature and Extrude Cut feature. But this time around, we're also going to be using the circular sketch pattern tool and creating these external legs and these 4 equally spaced mounting holes. Here we see the schematic drawing for exercise number 30. We notice here that we have symmetry for the component along the x-axis and along the y-axis. So let's first of all draw these two axes, the x-axis and the y-axis. Right? So if not for these 4 mounting holes and these 4 external legs, the component would have had symmetry or radius symmetry. As for the features, here we see that we have, 3 main features. We have these 4 equally spaced mounting holes. We have these 4 external legs, and we have a central bore here that coincides with the origin component. So to model this, I think we should do it in 4 main steps. Step number 1 involves sketching the base circle of the base flange here. And then we're going to use the extrude boss base to create a thickness. After that, we're going to sketch out this secondary boss. So we're going to sketch out the circular profile of the base of the cylinder and then use the extrude boss base again to create the thickness. After that, we're going to move on to step 2, which involves creating this central bore or this central hole. And we can do that by simply drawing a circle on this face and assigning, of course, the diameter, which has a diameter of 30 millimeters. And then you use the extrude cut tool to create the opening all the way through the component. So that's step 2. Step 3 involves working on these 4 equally spaced mounting holes. And for that, it's sufficient that we only draw one of them and then use the circular sketch pattern tool to create the other 3 copies. And please notice here that these 4 holes have a diameter of 15 millimeters. And that they are situated on a base circle of a diameter of 90 millimeters. Also, there's an important note here that says that the holes are positioned 45 degrees relative to the horizontal. And what that means basically is that if you take a line, if you draw a straight line starting from the origin all the way to one of the points here, centers of these circles, the angle between the horizontal and this line should be 45 degrees, okay? So again, it provided us with a position, basically that corresponds to the diameter of the base circle and angle. Okay, so it's fully defined. The position of these circles are fully defined. Right. So then we're going to move on to step 4, which involves working on these external legs. Again, we see here that we have 4 copies. So we're going to use the circular sketch pattern to create the other 3 copies. And for that, we're going to use the circle tool and extrude boss base tool, but also we're going to use the trim tool and the convert entities tool, as we will see in the coming minutes or coming seconds of this video. All right, so with that aside, let's get started with exercise number 30. Okay, so we start by creating a new SolidWorks part. We copy exercise number 30 into SolidWorks, and we set the background to plain white. And as I said previously, we can model this component within SolidWorks using 4 main steps. And step number 1 involves sketching out the circular profile for this Flange Hub. And so let's select top plane, sketch, press S on your keyboard, and then select circle. And starting from the origin, draw a single circle. Right? From the figure here, we see that this base circle should have a diameter of 120 millimeters. So on your mouse, click the right mouse button and move your cursor upwards to activate the Smart Dimension tool. Select the circle and assign a diameter of 120 millimeters. Now we're going to extrude this circular profile, and here we can see that the base circle should be 120 millimeters in diameter by 12. So we're going to extrude this to a thickness of 12. So press S on your keyboard, select extrude as the end condition set to blind, and assign a extrusion height or thickness of 12 millimeters, and then select OK. Right, now we're going to create this secondary boss here, this cylindrical protrusion. So select this top face, sketch, again press S on your keyboard, select circle, from the origin, draw a circle. On your mouse, click your right mouse button and move your cursor upwards to activate the Smart Dimension tool. Select the circle, and from the figure we see that this cylindrical pad here, or this cylindrical boss, should be 60 millimeters in diameter. So we'll go ahead and assign a diameter of 60 millimeters. Now we're going to extrude this to a thickness of 6 millimeters. Again, press S on your keyboard, select extrude boss base. The end condition is already set to blind, and assign an extrusion height or thickness of 6 millimeters. And then select OK. And that completes phase 1. Phase 2 involves creating these holes, specifically the central bore here. So go ahead and select this top face, sketch, select circle, and from the origin, draw a circle. Activate Smart Dimension tool using the right mouse button again. And looking at the figure, we have a diameter of 30 millimeters. So assign a diameter of 30 millimeters. And from the figure, we see that this central bore goes all the way through the component. So again, select or press S on your keyboard and then select Extrude Cut. Right? And then right-click on your mouse and set the end condition to through both directions. So it's going to cut a hole through both surfaces, and then select OK. Now we're going to work on creating these 4 mounting holes that are equally spaced, and looking at the figure, we have 4 of them. Each hole should have a diameter of 15 millimeters, and the hole goes all the way through. And these holes actually are based on a 90 millimeter base circle. Additionally, they are positioned approximately 45 degrees relative to the horizontal. So what do? We select this face, sketch, press S on your keyboard, select circle, and from the origin, create a circle. Select the circle, and let's convert this circle to a construction geometry. Now, activate the Smart Dimension tool, and select this base circle, and assign a diameter of 90 millimeters. Now, press S on your keyboard again, select circle, and we're going to draw a circle at any point here. Select line, and we're going to draw a center line, or a horizontal center line from the origin here all the way to this point. Select Smart Dimension, or before that, actually, just draw another center line from this origin all the way to the center of this hole here. Select Smart Dimension, and let's go ahead and assign an angle between this line and this horizontal line, as 45 degrees. All right. And again, activate the Smart Dimension tool, select the circle, and this circle should have a diameter of 15 millimeters. Now we need to repeat these circles along this circular path. So go ahead and select Linear Sketch Pattern, select the drop-down menu, and select Circular Sketch Pattern. Here, for the entities to pattern, select the circle. Again, we're going to create 4 of them, so now they're equally spaced. Select OK. Go to Features, Extrude Cut. Again, you can press the S key on your keyboard, makes no difference. Drag or set the end condition to through both directions, and then select OK. So that creates the mounting holes. Finally, we're going to work on creating these external legs. So the strategy here is that we're only going to create 1 of them, and then use this Circular Sketch Pattern tool to create the other 3. So let's create the top one. So let's go ahead and select top plane, sketch, select circle, and let's draw 2 concentric circles at any point here. 1 and 2. And please make sure that the center of these 2 circles coincide or are vertically aligned with the origin. So set the condition as vertical. Okay. Now, from the figure, we see that the outer circle should have a diameter of 24 millimeters, while the inner circle should have a diameter of 12. So on your mouse, press the right mouse button, activate the Smart Dimension tool. The diameter of this circle should be 24, and the inner circle should be 12, basically half. Right? And the distance between the center of the component, in this case, it coincides with the origin of the component, all the way to the center of these concentric circles should be 72 millimeters. So the distance between this origin and the center of these circles should be 72 millimeters. All right. Now let's select the line tool, and we're going to close off the sketch, starting from this point all the way to the bottom. Draw 2 vertical lines. Select this top face, convert entities, and that will create the sketch for the outer profile of the circular base. Use Trim Entities, and let's delete these extra lines. Leaving behind the sketch, the only sketch we need. Select OK. Now we're going to select Features, Extrude Boss Base, and we're going to extrude this profile to, let's look here. Okay, so this seems to be a problem. Let's undo that. Let's do that again. Extrude boss base. Select this opening here. Okay, so now it's perfect. And here we see that it should be extruded to a thickness of 6 millimeters. So by default, it's already set to 6. And then select OK. We've created the external lug. Now we need to repeat these lugs 3 times along the periphery of the component. So what do? We go linear sketch pattern or linear pattern here. Select circular pattern. And here is going to ask you for the direction or rotation or what line or what circle you want to follow. Select this circle. And here's going to ask you for the features pattern here. So let's select this space. Now we have a number of instances here where the copies are already set to 4. And select OK. Delete this image. Let's go ahead and assign a material. Edit material. You can select any material here. Again, it could be iron, aluminum alloys, titanium. But, for the purposes of this tutorial, let's select ASI 1020, apply, close. Okay, so that concludes exercise number 30. Hope you all enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or questions, please write them down below. I'll see you all in exercise number 31. Until then, bye-bye.